Golden Radio Hour.
The National Broadcasting Company presents The Adventures of Sam Spade, Detective.
Sam Spade Detective Agency.
Me, sweetheart.
Sam.
Now take it easy.
The papers are on the street. I saw them.
So did I. There'll be some red-faced editors ducking behind their green eye shades tomorrow.
What do you mean, Sam?
You don't print up the score until the returns are all in, F. This applies to presidential elections, boxing matches, and executions at San Quentin Prison.
Sam, you mean Willie?
I mean Willie. Batten down the hatches and turn over your foam rubber cushion, Wonder Girl, for even now I'm homeward bound with a stride-by-stride account of a 12-hour marathon, which I shall call, for obvious reasons, the Hail and Farewell Caper.
Transcribed for NBC, William Spear, radio's outstanding producer-director of mystery and crime drama, brings you the greatest private detective of them all, starring Stephen Dunn in The Adventures of Sam Spade.
I've been robbed. Effie?
Sam?
Trot in here this minute.
Oh, yes, sir. Have I done something?
That's what I was about to ask. Have you been sticking your delightful, freckled-covered, upturned little nose into my schnapps bottle? Well, answer me, girl.
Sam, you know I don't do...
All right, then, who?
Well, the nervous little man who was here did open the drawer to find a pencil and paper and leave a note.
Okay, you're clear.
Oh, Sam, what about the little man?
A good and leading question, F. Shall we attempt an answer?
Oh, I'm at the ready, Sam. Shoot.
Date, fill it in. To Justice Edward Benjamin, State Supreme Court, from Samuel Spade, license number 137596. Subject, the Hail and Farewell Caper. Dear Justice Benjamin, my relationship with the spindly little man goes clear back to a week ago, Thursday, possibly even before that. But that was the day I first noticed him. I remember it was Thursday because I was having corned beef and cabbage at Schroeder's. With him, it was a glass of water at the next table. He was paying little mind to the menu, having decided to spend the lunch hour staring at me. A couple of times, he put down his glass of water and pushed back his chair as if he were going to come over and talk. But he changed his mind. I put away the corned beef and cabbage and was halfway past the pie when he finally did it.
Excuse me, sir.
Hello?
You, sir, are Mr. Spade?
I am.
The detective, Sam Spade Detective Agency?
At your service, sir. Now, what can I...
You see, do you have a match?
I gave him a match, and he thanked me and went out. On Friday, I saw him in Ben's grotto over a plate of wrecked sole. We got just about as far, then he returned the match he owed me. The following week, I saw him 4 times, once as I was going into a show, once at the post office, and twice as I was going into my office building. Each was the same. We'd get up to the point where he was about to tell me something, then he'd back down and ask me what time it was, or did I have a horse in the fifth at Golden Gate, or would I lend him a cigarette. Then he'd bustle off as fast as his spindly little legs could carry. And thus matters stood yesterday. Place, my office, time, 1:37 p.m. Sam Spade.
Mr. Spade, this is a gentleman who
Yeah, don't tell me I know the voice. Now, what is it this time?
I do like to see you, Mr. Spade. I must see you.
I know. I'll save us both a trip. The
It is
date
vital.
is April 26th. The time is 1:38 p.m. All
It is
trains,
really urgent.
planes, and streetcars are leaving on schedule.
The most
And for the
important-
favorite at Golden Gate tomorrow, consult your nearest
Please,
bookie.
please, sir, please, Mr. Spade, please, do not jest. This is a matter of life and death.
I see. Fine, then. I'll see you tomorrow for lunch, huh?
I won't be here, Mr. Spade.
Oh, where'll you be?
Dead? Dead?
Look, I'm tired of this,
I'm
Mr.
probably-
Spindley. Give it to me straight or sign off. Now, what is it?
Gotta listen to me, Mr. Spade. It's most important. It's a life or death. It's a life.
Hello? Mr. Spindley? Hello! It almost seemed as if he were in earnest this time, so I didn't hang up. I hustled down the hall to the next office, found another phone, and sweet-talked the supervisor into tracing down Mr. Spindley. It was a pay booth in a drugstore opposite the Park Emergency Hospital. The clerk in the drugstore was just getting over it when I punched in. Spindley had collapsed in the booth and had been hauled across the street to the hospital.
On the bed there.
Oh, thanks, Doctor.
Life and death, Mr. Spade. Terrible. You got to stop it. It's murder.
He's been
Legal
muttering
murder.
like that ever since we brought him in.
know.
Yeah, hop, huh?
I know.
The legal kind. You see before you an overdose of sleeping tablets.
You mean he tried to kill himself?
I can't think of an easy way anyone could feed him 2 full bottles, can you?
Pull through?
Probably. We gave him a good pumping.
Don't let them do it. Don't.
All right.
It's
all
murder.
right.
Murder.
Now, Mr. Doe, don't carry on so.
But I know who did it, sir. You must stop him.
All right.
I know who is
Take it easy. He's got a lot of strength for a little guy.
Mr. Doe, huh? No name.
Yeah, nothing to identify him. Funny thing, that.
What do you mean?
I'd almost guarantee the man's undernourished, hasn't eaten for days, shabby clothes, and so on. Yet look at the roll I found in his pocket.
Hmm? How much?
Almost $800.
Oh, did you find anything else?
Yeah, this.
Huh?
What do you make of it?
Well, front page of the Star Times.
It's a galley proof, isn't it? Kind they run off in the linotype room before they start the presses.
Yeah. Killer dies tonight. Willie Johnson, hitchhiked murderer, to enter gas chamber at midnight.
Innocent man.
All
It's murder. It's murder.
Down you go, Mr. Doe.
But I know who did it, sir. I know everything. Everything. I know. A frame. It's a skillful frame.
You mean Willie Johnson?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I know who it was. It was hail and farewell, sir. Hail and farewell.
Who was it? Come on, Mr. Doe. Wake up.
Mr. Doe. Yeah. I was waiting for that.
Hit him.
Like a ton of bricks. He'll be incommunicado for the next 24 hours or longer.
Hail and farewell. A broken down actor.
Huh?
Only an actor would think more of an exit line than an innocent man's neck.
You mean you believe he knows?
I don't know what I believe. The guy's been trailing me for 10 days, driving himself nuts, tries to knock himself off. It's a cinch he believes it.
Well, there's no chance of bringing him around before tomorrow.
Yes, and Willie Johnson dies tonight.
So what happens?
So I'm stuck for taxi fare to San Quentin.
Believe in him? Believe in Willie Johnson?
Yeah, I know you're his lawyer, Mr. Grayson. But
I'm his lawyer because I volunteered to serve you, Mr. Spade. I've been in the law a long, long time. I've defended a lot of phonies. Sometimes you've got to if you want to eat. They all sing the same song. I was framed. Oh, I know all 89 verses. But Willie,
Yeah?
Willie's song is different. Because Willie Johnson's an innocent man. Willie was framed. 4 appeals. 4 appeals, 4 stays. And we've had our last one. It's folded up now, Spade. I'm going to take the walk with him at midnight. So do something for me, will you?
Sure.
When you walk into a cell, remember you're talking to a man who's going to die in less than 8 hours. We're trying to build his spirit up so he can go out with the colors flying, you know?
Yeah.
Don't give him a lot of false hope, Spade. Because there isn't any.
I don't quite understand, Mr. Spade, sir. I told my story so many times.
I'd like to write something about you for the papers, Willie.
Oh. Yes, sir. But all the newspaper gentlemen been here and gone.
Yeah, I know. Could you tell it just once more, Willie?
Well, all right, sir. It's more than a year ago, I guess you know that.
Yeah.
I was broke, you know. Things hadn't been going so well, sir. I was down to my last 2 bits that night. I walked into Sherry Dugan's.
That's the bar on the waterfront, huh?
Yes, sir. I got to talking with a fella sitting at the bar there. He bought me beer.
Who was he?
I never did find his name. I ain't seen him since that night. If I could find him, I don't reckon I'd be where I am, sir.
Oh.
He had a paper with him. Was reading the classified ad section. You know the part about autos, transportation, so on?
Yeah.
Well, there was an ad there. I'd say we'll pay $500 plus expenses to drive car to Mexico City with a phone number.
Mm-hmm.
And the fella said if he were in my shoes, he'd call up and inquire, so I did. I inquired, and I got the job. Well, sir, about an hour later, I met a man with a car at Southern Mason by the gas station there. And he gave me the $500, and I start out for Mexico City.
Who was he, Willie?
Never found his name either. We tried too, Mr. Grayson. Me. Never could find him.
I see.
Well, it was raining that night, sir. I remember. It was raining. And I hadn't gotten more than 50 miles south of town, somewhere around Morgan Hill it was, when a siren blew off behind me, and the first thing I knew, well, they was asking me questions about a girl. A girl named Georgia Lyon.
Uh-huh.
It was her car, it seems, and the officer claimed I stole it. They made me raise my arms, and they searched me. And there was a knife in my pocket, you see, with blood on it. There, and I don't know how it got there. And the $500, that had blood on it, too. And there was blood on the seat. And when they opened the turtle back, there she was. This Georgia Lyon I told you. All doubled up there and dead, and they said I'd done it for the money in the car, and I guess I just went crazy, Mr. Spade, with this all coming at me at once that way. You see, I tried to make a break for it, and I got away. And I knew it was a terrible wrong thing to do. I know that.
Yeah, what about the trial, Willie?
Well, sir, Mr. Grayson done everything in his power, sir. And so did I. I told the truth as close as I could recollect it, but it didn't make no sense. We never found the man in the bar or the man who drove up in the car.
What about the phone number in the ad?
Oh, that turned out to be a fancy dress shop on Powell Street called Mason Francine. And the classified ad, sir, that was the queerest thing of all.
Well, what do you mean?
Well, Mr. Grayson went through every newspaper in the country for 2 weeks either side of the night, and there wasn't any such ad in any of them. So they said I was lying. They said I was lying. I made it all up in my head. And now they're going to kill me for it.
Yeah.
I don't know, Mr. Spade. I've heard it so long now. Maybe I did kill her. Maybe they're right. Maybe they're right.
But there was something in the way he said, maybe they're right. I told you they were wrong. I thanked him and told him I had what I wanted for my story and said goodbye. There was no hope in his face, but no despair either. He knew what was coming, and he was ready. And that's all. I hit the homeward-bound commuters on the wrong side of the Golden Gate Bridge, so it was almost 7 when I checked in at Sherry Dugan's bar on the waterfront. A girl was sitting 3 stools down from me, a class-type dame in a black file suit from Magnum's, and a hat that must have set some good-time Charlie back $50. That's the kind of a dame you'd expect to be sitting in Sherry Dugan's, least of all as drunk as she was.
Well, here you are, Jack. 60 cents. Thank you.
Wait a minute.
Huh?
This is a one-man operation, isn't it?
Yes, why?
Well, then you'd be Sherry Dugan,
No, I bought the joint from Sherry a few months back. Why?
Well, I'm doing a story for the papers on Willie Johnson. Tell me, was Sherry here on the big night?
Oh, yes. Only Willie Johnson wasn't. You could look it up, what Sherry testified.
Where is he now?
Oh, South America.
And there he'll stay. You know why?
Why?
Sherry has brains. For a man in his shoes, there's no better place right now than South America.
Oh? Well, tell me more.
He needed a rest the worst way, Sherry did, after all he'd been through. Tending bar can be difficult at times, right, Tim?
Oh, yes, indeed. Show me a good bartender, and I'll show you a barn diplomat.
And more besides.
Yeah.
Well, here's to Sherry, wherever he is. Keep running, Sherry. Keep running. You know, Sherry's like a dog running away from a can tied to his tail. We all are.
Who's we?
All of us, the world. Give me another drink, Tim.
Oh, now, listen, lady. I don't think I'd
Don't
better,
give
you know.
me any lip. This is a first-class wake, isn't it? A send-off for Willie, isn't it?
Well...
Poor.
All right.
Marilyn, what are you doing here?
Oh, just in time, Georgie. Sit down.
Come on, we're going home.
Take your time, George. 2 of the members present. 1 more. We'll have a quorum. Pour him a drink, Tim.
You want me to carry you out of here?
Might be fun. Where's Daddy?
He's pacing the floor. Now, come on.
You know something, George. You've got a can tied to your tail, too. No use running, George.
Oh, you're out of your head. Whatever made you come here?
Kind of appropriate, don't you think? Special night tonight. Black dress. See, all fixings. Gonna have us awake.
Not here we aren't. Are you coming?
Nope.
All right.
Where we go?
Going home.
Bye, Timmy. And you, whoever you
Hey, wait. How about to have
Hold it.
Oh,
How much does she owe you?
that's $3.45.
Here. It's worth it. Now tell me, who is she?
Oh, it's a model. Some dress shop uptown.
Oh? Like the Maison Francine, for instance?
Yeah. How'd you know?
Just a hunch. What's her name?
Oh, Marilyn Hale. Her old man runs the Star Times, you know, the publisher.
Yeah.
The guy is his partner, George Farewell. You must have heard of the firm, Hale and Farewell.
I had, but it was a slightly different reading from the one Mr. Spindley gave me at the hospital. I looked at my watch. Willie was 4.5 hours from the end of the line when I took off for the press room at the Star Times.
You are listening to the weekly adventure of radio's most famous detective, Sam Spade. Three chimes mean good times on NBC. There's fun and music for you tomorrow evening with the Dennis Day Show. There'll be songs by Dennis and another typical tangled comedy situation, the kind of hilarious mix-up that could happen only to Dennis Day. And now, back to the Hail and Farewell caper, tonight's adventure with Sam Spade.
Time 8:11. I got out of the elevator in the basement of the Star Times building on Mission Street and started looking for the press room foreman, somebody named Joe Fortescue. I finally found his feet sticking out from under a sick linotype, hauled him out, and tried to make him understand what I wanted.
Yeah, I know who you mean. I know, a little bandy-legged guy.
Can't hear you.
I say, he's a little bandy-legged guy.
Yeah, that's the guy.
Hello, what about him?
Come on. Go ahead, you first. Now, who is he?
Charlie Forrest, he's not.
I know, but that's not what I came.
Been off his rocker for a year. Look, you see that picture on the wall over your head?
Yeah.
That's Mr. Hale, the Iron Fist.
Oh.
Won't tolerate no inefficiency, you understand? But this screwball, this Charlie Forrest, I personally canned him twice, and both times Iron Fist sends it back to me.
Yeah.
So it don't make no never mind to me, brother. Leave him come to work stewed all the time. Leave him lay off for 2 straight weeks like this time. Don't make no never mind.
Yeah. Now, look, I'm up with you now. How long's Charlie been this way?
A year or so. I know just when it started.
When Willie Johnson was hauled in on the hitchhiking killing, right?
Oh, you've been talking to Charlie, huh?
Yeah.
Funny thing how that hit him. You'd find him sitting in a corner by himself, mumbling all the time about the guy being innocent.
Mm-hmm.
What do you suppose Charlie had to do with that? Oh, I don't know. Got real crazy toward the end, you know. Said he was killing Willie Johnson. And you'd ask him with what, and he'd say a linotype machine and a hunk of newsprint. One day he even offered to prove it, you know.
How?
Oh, I don't know. He said he had proof. He said he had the evidence that would save Willie's neck, hid in his room. Boy, was he off his trolley.
Look, I've got to find out where he lives. They don't know upstairs.
I don't know. We don't know downstairs neither. He moved out of his apartment 3 weeks back, and don't nobody know where he went.
Look, he was in this morning. Picked up a galley proof of page 1.
Hey, that's right.
Yeah.
I'll tell you who might know where to find him.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, about 10 o'clock he leave here. Said he was going to look him up. Somebody named Spade.
Thanks.
Sam Spade. He's a detective.
That remains to be seen.
Message, Sam?
A bandy-legged little guy named Charlie Forrest, F. He must have been in around 10:30 this morning.
Oh, dear, I didn't get here till 11. They're still clearing stuff off the tracks from the MacArthur reception.
Yeah, never mind that now. Listen, write this down.
Oh, wait till I find a piece of paper.
Hurry up.
Here, under the ashtray.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Sam.
Call Jeremy Grayson. He's a lawyer, and he's with Willie Johnson in the death row at Quentin. Tell him to get hold of a justice on the state Supreme Court and hold the line open till I get him. You got that?
Yes, sir. Is there anything else?
No, I'll get back to you in a little while.
Sam, wait a minute. Don't hang up.
What's the matter?
This paper I'm writing on under the ashtray. It's a note.
Well, go ahead.
Mr. Spade, please contact me at once. Charles W. Forrest, Bellflower Hotel, 338 Stockton Street.
took 20 more minutes to cross town and 10 on top of that to convince the clerk at the Bellflower I had a right to the key to Charlie's room, which I had not. I tossed the room from the light fixture to the floorboards, covered everything from the window shades to the bathroom plumbing. Result, 1 batch of dirty laundry, 6 soggy cigarettes, and 2 empty bottles of sleeping pills. I was on my way out when I remembered one more thing. It wasn't an accident like in the movies. It was on purpose. I unscrewed the tops of the iron bedposts. Inside number 3, I found it. There was a payphone at the end of the dark hallway.
Sam, I warned you about this. We've had 4 stays. They won't come through with the 5th.
I've got a fair hold card, Grayson. Did you get the judge?
Yeah, Benjamin, State Supreme Court.
What'd he say?
What I knew he'd say. No evidence, no stay.
Tell him I got evidence.
It better be good, Sam.
It is. A phony newspaper, a copy of the Star-Times for the night of the murder with a special page in the classified section carrying the ad that Willie answered. How does that sound?
You've got it now?
Yeah.
Well, for Pete's sake, hang on to it. I'll get back to the judge. Say, wait a minute. Who's behind it?
It's a long story. I'll tell you when I see you.
Hang up.
When you what? Spade. Spade.
Hang up or I'll kill you.
Spade.
That's it. You can turn around now.
Well, Iron Fist.
We've met.
I've seen your picture, Mr. Hale.
It flattered me, no doubt. Give it to me.
What?
The paper, stupid.
I haven't read the funnies.
All right, Mr. Spade, if you'd rather.
Iron Fist knew other games besides publishing. He moved up, I went for the gun, which suddenly wasn't there, and he was giving me a fast demonstration of judo for beginners. First thing you know, I was sprawled on the floor, and he was looking down at me along the barrel of his .38.
I could kill you, I suppose, but why? Why?
He backed off toward the window, spread out the paper, and crumbled it up.
Now.
You know what you're doing with that match, Hale.
Shut up.
You're burning Willie Johnson at the stake.
I said shut up.
He touched the match to the pile of papers, watched them flare suddenly, lighting up the entire hallway. He looked like a medieval devil.
I'm sorry about Willie Spade, but it has to be, that's all. It has to be.
What did you have to do with Georgia Lyon?
Nothing. Nothing at all. And her name wasn't Georgia Lyon, really. It was her stage name.
No?
Her real name was Farewell.
Your partner's wife?
Why, Spade, didn't you read the testimony at the trial? She was leaving George that night. She'd made a noble decision to walk out of his life and leave him free.
For your daughter, huh, Marilyn?
That's right. And it was such a tragedy Georgia had to run into Willie Johnson the very night she left. Wasn't it, Spade? Wasn't it?
He bent over the fire, watched it die down into a pile of ashes. I was looking at something else. A draft from the stairwell behind me had picked up a glowing scrap and set it down at the foot of a sleazy window curtain behind him.
Well, that's it, Spade. The last of Willie Johnson. The last of what?
I hit him at the knees as the curtain went up in a blinding flash. No judo this time, just an old-fashioned hammerlock.
Let me go.
Come on, give me that gun.
No, the fire.
I'll break your arm, Hale. I'll break your arm. There. Well, that's better. Now get up. Get up. Hale, stop. Hale! I caught him in the leg as he hit the top of the stairway. He took off like an eagle, lit on his neck halfway down, and toppled the rest of the way like a loose-packed sack of laundry. He was dead when I got to him. Score, with an hour and 5 minutes to play, no evidence, 1 dead witness, 1 unconscious one, 1 killer, and accomplice at large. There was only one way left to go, and I took it.
Floor, please.
George Farewell's apartment.
That's the penthouse.
Yeah, is he home?
Oh, I don't know what's the matter up there, sir. I think something's wrong, awfully wrong.
Hmm?
He went up there early this evening with a young lady, and the door to the roof is locked at the 8th floor. That's never happened before.
Any other way up?
Well, you might try the fire escape if it's urgent.
It is. So I climbed the fire escape at the 8th floor and went up onto the roof. Or rather, into George Farewell's patio. I worked my way through a maze of potted shrubbery around a fish pond with a fountain in the middle. Piano music was coming through a pair of French doors. But before I saw where the music was coming from, I knew it was the radio and not the piano. because the piano, a 14-foot grand, had George Farewell sprawled across the keyboard with a bullet through his head. I crossed to the set of French doors on the other side of the house. And there I saw her, standing up on the 3-foot parapet surrounding the roof, looking 8 floors down into the street.
Don't come any closer.
You're not really going to jump, Merrill.
He did it his way. I'm going to do it mine. Don't come any closer. Don't.
I won't. So George shot himself, huh?
Why not? Can't go through life with a can tied to your tail. No running away from that.
No, there isn't. Well, you're going to jump?
Give me time.
Oh, you want to do it the dramatic way, don't you, Marilyn? Only 35 minutes left until Willie checks out over at the...
Will you shut up?
And to make it really ironic, you'll want to take off before he does, right? The one person left who can save him. I talked to Willie, Marilyn.
He must hate the world.
He doesn't hate anybody.
Poor jerk.
I think he'd feel even sorrier for you, throwing your own life away while you can still save his. You can't run away from this tin can, but you can untie it. You can climb down off that wall and ride over to Quentin with me. You can tell him George Farewell killed his wife, that the 3 of you and the little linotyper made a pigeon out of Willie. I held my breath. She swayed, looked down into the street, poising herself. Then she turned round and stepped onto the roof again.
Let's go.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Only George Farewell didn't stab his wife that night. I did.
We pulled up at Quentin with 6 minutes to spare. The foregoing Justice Benjamin is submitted in support of the stay of execution granted Willie Johnson and will be set forth in detail in Mr. Grayson's petition for a new trial. Period. End of report.
Gee, Willie can say. What can I say?
Well, I have one constructive suggestion.
I could say you're the greatest, finest, most wonderful.
Yes, but you'd only be repeating yourself, Tara. The proper line at this moment is, I shall have the report ready for you immediately following the next announcement. Right? Scoot.
Three chimes mean good times on NBC. Listen to the stars on this Sunday's big show. Jimmy Durante, Ethel Merman, Milton Berle, and Gordon McRae, plus Meredith Wilson and his orchestra. Your MC on the big show, of course, is the glamorous Tallulah. You're invited.
Here it is, Sam. Sam? Here's the report.
Oh, yeah.
What are you writing, Sam?
Look, how's this? Man of the world, dashing, debonair, cosmopolitan, temporarily at liberty, desires employment.
Sounds wonderful.
Thank you.
What does it mean?
All right, we'll drop it down a few notches. Private investigator, accomplished raconteur, will tell troubles to listening public. Nice telephone voice. Contact Sam Spade, 1 East 48th Street, New York.
1 East 48th Street?
Yeah, my address during the summer months, Cherub. You got it?
1 East 48th Street,
Mm-hmm.
New York City.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, maybe a lot of people will write, Sam. I'm sure they will.
Think so?
There'll always be a Samuel Spade Incorporated.
Will there?
Look ahead. Smile through the tears, Sam.
I am.
The day will come soon again when
When the phone will ring and you will say...
Sam Spade, detective agency.
Yes, and I will say... Me, sweetheart. Buck up, old girl. Stout fella, stiff upper lip. Good show.
Not goodbye, but au revoir, Sam.
Hail and farewell. Good night, sweetheart.
Tonight's transcribed adventure of Sam Spade was produced, edited, and directed by William Spear. Sam Spade was played by Stephen Dunn, Lorene Tuttle as Effie. Also in the cast were Junius Matthews, Olin Soule, Wally Mayer, Sidney Miller, Kathy Lewis, Paul Frees, Ed Max, and Lou Merrill. Script for tonight's adventure by Harold Swanton. Musical scoring by Lud Gluskin, conducted by Robert Armbruster. This is NBC, the national broadcasting company.
Suspense. Tonight, Roma Wines bring you Robert Taylor in The House in Cypress Canyon, a suspense play produced, edited, and directed for Roma Wines by William Spear.
Suspense, radio's outstanding theater of thrills, is presented for your enjoyment by Roma Wines. That's R-O-M-A, Roma Wines. Those better-tasting California wines enjoyed by more Americans than any other wine. Yes, right now, a glassful would be very pleasant, as Roma Wines bring you Robert Taylor in a remarkable tale of suspense.
Merry Christmas, Jerry. How's the real estate business?
Kind of early with your greeting, aren't you, Sam?
Well, I got to get them in sometime. I may not see you again until next Christmas.
If this real estate racket gets any crazy, I'll be dead by next Christmas. I'm glad you could get up here, though, Sam.
What's on your mind, Jerry?
You'll probably shoot me when you hear it, Sam, because I'm probably nuts. But doggone it, you're a detective and you're my pal, and I just had to tell somebody.
Oh, you sound like it's serious.
That's just it. I don't know what it is, Sam, but... Now, listen, you know we're agents for a group of houses up in Cypress Canyon.
Mm-hmm.
Those places that were started before the war and never got finished.
Oh, yeah.
All they got in were the foundations, just concrete and a couple of beams. Well, they've been finished now. In fact, I'm putting up for rent on the last of them today.
Well, what do you want? Police protection from the mob?
Listen, Sam, this house that I'm talking about, it's got a number now of 2256. But before, when the men went back to work on it about 3 months ago, well, they just started when the foreman on the job brought me a shoebox that he'd found up on a beam. And this box had a manuscript in it, a story kind of, all written out.
Yeah.
Well, he gave me the thing. I read it. I didn't think much about it. I put it in my desk. But the other day, and I happened to drive by there, I saw the number on the house and what the house looked like. I thought of this manuscript. Well, I don't like it. That's all. There's something funny about it.
What's funny about it?
Well, mind you, this thing was found in an unfinished house in Cypress Canyon. House that was only just started building.
All right.
Well, listen, Sam, I want to read it to you if you got the time, and you'll see what I mean.
All right, shoot.
Now, here's how it begins. To whom it may concern, my reasons for setting down on paper what follows here will be abundantly clear.
Will be abundantly clear to anyone into whose possession it may fall. First, let me say that I'm a very ordinary person. My name is James A. Woods. I'm 35 years old. By profession, a chemical engineer. My wife, Ellen, was a school teacher when I met and married her in Indiana 7 years ago. There's nothing in the past life of either one of us to suggest remotely any cause or reason for the dreadful thing that has invaded our lives. Our married life has been in no way different from that of millions of other average, reasonably happy, and congenial families. 3 months ago, I was ordered by my firm to take charge of a rather minor project in Los Angeles, Hollywood to be exact. The order was a sudden one. There'd been no time to secure accommodations, and conditions being what they are, the inevitable result was that until day before yesterday, we'd been living in the cramped quarters of one of those characteristic California motels. Needless to say, most of our spare time had been devoted to a search for something more permanent and comfortable, but the fruits of these efforts had been, financially and in every other way, a geometrical progression of discouragement. Until last Saturday afternoon, only 4 days before Christmas. We were driving into town on our way to a movie when Ellen saw it.
Jim, look.
What?
That sign in front of that real estate office.
Oh, yeah.
But don't you see what it says? For rent, furnished, 2-bedroom house, close in, immediate occupancy.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Aren't you going to stop?
Oh, Ellen, you know a sign like that. It mean right out in plain sight in front of a real estate office.
Oh, yeah, but Jim...
Either they want $600 a month.
We'll never know until we ask.
Well, if it's any good at all, there are probably 50 people fighting for it right back there now.
Well, honey, there's no harm in trying now, is there?
You really want to go back?
Oh, it's probably foolish, but what can we lose?
Okay.
Oh, darling, come on, cheer up. How do you know? Maybe our luck will change. Maybe fate's going to give us a nice new house for a Christmas present.
sorry to bother you, but we just happened to see that for rent sign outside.
Oh,
and,
yeah. I hung it outside just this minute.
Is the house available?
Why, sure it is.
Let me introduce myself. My name is James A. Woods, and this is my wife, Ellen.
How do you do? Wow. Looks like it's fixing to rain.
Yes, so it does, doesn't it? Well, it was one of those things. The real estate agent had just been authorized to rent the place by mail that morning, and he'd hardly had time to look at it himself and put up his sign when we drove up. It was just an ordinary little California house about halfway up Cypress Canyon, number 2256. Just an ordinary, undistinguished little house. The agent didn't know much about it. Construction on it had been stopped by the war, and it had just been completed and furnished lately. It's been vacant while somebody's estate was being settled, and now it was owned by a bank in Sacramento. Of course, we didn't
Got
care
the
about
key
it.
in the mail along with the authorization to rent. Only one there is, because you can have duplicates made. Seems to stick a little. Oh, no, there it is.
It doesn't sound as though that door had ever been opened.
Well, a little oil on the hinges will fix that all right.
Oh, sure.
Now, here's your living room. Furniture's a little dusty, of course. You got to expect that. It's good furniture, though, you see? Benson Brothers.
Yes,
Now, over here's a little den. Panel, you see? Radio, fireplace. Really a very attractive little room, particularly for a man.
Uh-huh, yeah.
Now, the bedroom's off the living room here. Everything's all on one floor, you understand?
Uh-huh.
It's quite nice, I think.
Yes. Uh-huh.
You can see you get the morning sun here. There's a view of the canyon through these front windows. You got cross country.
That's about all there was to it. It wasn't the best place in the world. It was small and badly built, but what would you have done? We took it with as little inspection as that. It was the Saturday before Christmas. And the very same evening, we were struggling up the steps from the road with suitcases and boxes and armloads of clothes and all the endless bric-a-brac that people collect and never know they have until they move. Ellen began unpacking, and I began moving things around and taking the worst of the pictures off the wall, doing all the little things that everybody does when they move into a new place and try to give it something of their own
Don't be
personality.
such a sourpuss. You know, it's a roof over our heads for Christmas. That's more than we ever thought we'd get, isn't it? Now, what in the world are we going to do with those two pictures?
Why don't we just leave them where they are?
Jim, we can't. They're too awful.
Well, all right, put them in the closet then.
I can't. Both the closets are jammed full.
No, I mean the other one in the little alcove off the den. At least there's a door there. I suppose it's a closet. I don't know.
That isn't a commentary on the housing problem, huh? A woman moving into a house without even knowing where all the closets are. Take the pictures down, will you, honey? Bring them in here.
Okay.
Oh, I guess you'll have to help me with this door. I can't get it open.
Let me see it. Well, of course you can't, silly. It's locked. Where are those keys we found on the desk?
Oh, here they are.
No, not this one. Sure, this one won't work. No. Feels like an awful solid door for a closet.
Oh, and that's one solid door in the house.
Well, this one won't do it either. Well, we'll just have to get a locksmith up here on Monday. I'll put the pictures behind the desk, okay?
Yeah, all right. Jim, if you could just help me move this armchair, huh?
Oh, Ellen, will you let it go until tomorrow? You know what time it is?
Oh, but, honey, I'd like to get the place looking just a
Yeah,
little
but it's
bit.
almost midnight. In fact, it's exactly...
What was that?
Tomcat, I guess, out in the brush somewhere.
Sounded near. Hope that doesn't go on all night.
Oh, there's much we can do about it. Come on, Ellen. I'm dead tired.
All right, Jim.
Where'd you put the toothpaste, honey?
It's right in the medicine cabinet.
Oh, yeah.
Jim, we ought to get some firewood tomorrow. You know, a fire in that living room would make all the difference in the world.
Can't. Sunday.
Well, Monday then. Jim, I think red curtains are what we need, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
You know, just at least for the living room. Anyway, the ones in there now have just got to come down.
Yeah, I suppose they do.
What do you think of red?
Well, I guess it's all...
Jim.
It's some tomcat.
Jim, it sounded in the house.
Oh, now, how could it be in the house, Ellen? We've been over every inch of the house.
Except that closet.
Now, how could a cat or anything else be in the closet that's been locked up for over a year?
Oh, I don't know.
Probably under the house. A wildcat or mountain lion or something. I hear they have them in California.
Jim, I don't like
Well,
it.
neither do I like it, but there's nothing we can do about it tonight.
Oh, maybe we ought to call somebody, the police or some
don't
neighbor.
be silly, Ellen. You act like a kid. Come on, let's go to bed, huh?
Oh, all right. I suppose it is silly. Jimmy, did you lock the door?
Yeah. Can I turn out the lights now?
Yeah. All right.
Good night, Ellen. Sleep tight.
Good night, Jim.
I don't know what time it was, perhaps an hour, perhaps only a half hour later. My mind was in that hazy borderland between sleep and a dream that's still part of consciousness. Then I was awake. Ellen, are you all right?
Yes.
Did you have a nightmare or something?
No. I heard it, too.
Well, that didn't sound like any cat.
Put on the light.
Yeah.
It seemed to be out there, Jim, in the house somewhere.
I'm going to look into this.
Jim, you be careful.
Come on. Where's my shotgun?
In the den, I think. Jim.
What?
There's something wet
What? Wet?
running from under the closet door. Sticky.
Ellen, don't touch it.
I had to. Jim, it's blood.
For suspense, Roma Wines are bringing you Robert Taylor in The House in Cypress Canyon. Roma Wines' presentation tonight in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense. And now, Roma Wines bring back to our Hollywood soundstage Robert Taylor as James A. Woods, with Kathy Lewis as his wife Ellen, in The House in Cypress Canyon. A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
It cannot be too difficult to understand from the foregoing why I've taken the pains to set down in writing the events related here. To find in one's newly rented house a closet which cannot be opened is in itself certainly no great cause for alarm. But to be awakened in the stillness of the night by unearthly cries within that house, to find oozing from under that closet door something that is unquestionably blood, that's another matter. Perhaps others might have been braver than we. Suffice it only to say that we got out of the house in something very close to a panic, and only returned when we had the moral support of two stalwart Los Angeles policemen.
You just moved in here, you say?
That's right, officer. You can see we're still unpacking.
And the place has been empty right along before that?
Yeah, I don't know much about that part of it. You could check all that with the real estate agent, though.
Well, where is this closet?
Oh, it's right in here, officer. And the blood is...
Where? Where's the blood?
Jim?
Officer, I swear to you, there was blood on the floor less than an hour ago. I saw it.
Uh-huh.
It was running out from under that door. We heard that noise, and we got up, and then we saw it. The door was locked.
Locked, huh?
Oh, no.
Well, seems to be all right now.
Hey, you folks aren't trying to be funny, are you?
Isn't there anything in it?
No, ma'am, there is not.
Look, officer, we're reputable people. You can call my firm. They'll tell you all about me.
There's nothing wrong with this closet. Walls are solid. No trapdoors.
If you think I'm lying...
I didn't say that, mister. Oh, you probably did hear some sort of noise, and you got a little panicky.
What about the blood? It got on my hand.
Isn't there now, is it?
Yes.
Where?
I feel it.
Now, you folks just take it easy. You're liable to hear all kinds of noises up in these canyons at night. You're from the east, you say?
Yeah. I'm sorry, officer.
Ah, that's all right. That's all right. If you have any real trouble, call on us anytime.
All right.
Well, good night.
Good night.
Good night. Hey, you ought to have this door fixed. That's enough to scare you.
Yeah, we're going to have it fixed. We didn't say much about it after that. There wasn't much that could be said. The next day, I went down to a lot and bought a little Christmas tree and some trimmings, and we tried to pretend we were cheerful, but there was an uneasiness between us that had never been there before. Ellen seemed tired and listless. Several times during the day, I noticed her washing her hands with a brush, scrubbing the one that had touched the blood. That night, we each took a sleeping pill and went to bed. It was sometime after midnight when I was suddenly wide awake and staring into the darkness. In some way, I knew at once and instinctively what had awakened me. Ellen was not in her bed nor in the room. The nameless thing I feared gripped at my heart until I could scarcely breathe. I opened the bedroom door and started through the house, putting on every light that I could find. There was not much to search, but I searched thoroughly. The living room, the kitchen, bathroom, den, even the garage. And all the time, the dread of looking where I knew at last I must look. For I think I knew from the very first time where I'd find her. It must have been a full minute that I stood before that closet door. Then I opened it. She stood there rigid, her arms at her sides, her fingers extended like claws. Her hair was over her face, her eyes stared out of it. Her lips were drawn back in a grin like an animal at bay. For a moment, I was frozen with the horror of it. I stretched out my hand. Very deliberately, she turned her head and sunk her teeth until they met into the flesh of my forearm. I'd raised my hand to strike at her, but already she'd relaxed her hold and gone utterly limp. She would have fallen unless I'd caught her. I carried her into the bedroom and laid her on the bed. Strangely, at that moment, my only thought was how I might revive her. Until I saw that it was not a faint, but a sleep that she'd fallen into. A sleep as deep and heavy as though she'd been drugged. And so I left her. But for me, that night, there was no sleep. Yes, Ellen?
What are you doing up so early?
Oh, I got a little restless. Went out to make some coffee.
Oh. Oh, I had the most wonderful sleep. And I feel so rested.
Do you?
Mm-hmm. Jim.
What?
What's the matter with your arm?
Oh, I just heard it.
Oh, honey, it's terribly swollen. Let me see it.
No, it's all right, Ellen.
Oh, it isn't all right. You've got to see Dr. Wesley right away.
Sure, I will.
No,
I
now,
will.
you promised me, Jim, that you'll go the first thing this morning. How'd it happen?
Oh, there was a dog.
Dog?
Yeah, I heard him trying to chew through the screen door. I went out to chase him away, and he bit me.
Well. You mean there's all that racket and I didn't even wake up?
No, Ellen, you didn't even wake up. It was clear to me that Ellen knew nothing of what had transpired the night before. I went to my office that morning and made a pretense of going over routine business, if only to restore my mind to some semblance of calm by the sight and sound of common, familiar things. Pain in my arm had become a persistent, dull throbbing. I made a late appointment with Dr. Wesley. He treated my arm with something of an arched eyebrow, and he said,
Well, I've never seen anything quite like it before. That is, such a rapid onset of infection.
It was dark when I left his office. I hadn't realized it was so late. Driving home, my car seemed sluggish until I saw the needle on the dashboard and realized that I was pushing it to the utmost of its speed. I was racing home to prevent something before it was too late, before the darkness conspired against me. For somehow I already knew with certainty that it was the darkness and the night that I had to fear. The curves of the canyon seemed endless. And then the cold fear leaped up inside me. My house, too, was dark. I went slowly up the stone steps in the road, looking, praying for some sign of light or life. There was none. The house was empty. Ellen was gone. I looked with the same self-torturing thoroughness, and in that closet first of all, knowing as I did so that it was hopeless. So, alone in that empty house, I waited, powerless and helpless now, deadened in thought and will, empty as the house itself, save only for the overwhelming sense of a terrible foreboding. For sometime in the early hours of the morning, I snapped on the radio, shortwave. Why? Surely a minor question now. I only know that I did. And then I heard it.
Car 58, car 58, go to Laurel Canyon, the 4000 block. A report that a man has been injured or attacked. Condition thought to be critical. Ambulance will follow. That is all.
I was there almost before the police, edging my way through the little crowd, staring down at the man lying there in his white uniform under the streetlight.
Yeah, the milkman, poor guy. I heard him scream, but when I got here, he was just like this.
Stand back, stand back. Please stand back. Well, you again.
I heard it on the radio. I live just down the road.
Yeah, I remember.
What happened?
Well, take a look. Maybe you can tell us.
He was dead. And he was lying on his back. And his throat had been torn out, as though by the fangs of some wild animal. It is now Christmas Eve. Or rather, Christmas morning, for it's a little after midnight. I've been waiting here in the stillness of this empty house for nearly 24 hours, waiting for the end. Already once tonight, I've heard that dreadful wailing cry somewhere in the hills. I've nailed up the closet door, but that I know is childish and useless. My arm is horribly swollen and turning black, but that's nothing. It's another end that I foresee, as surely as other men foresee the rising of the sun. I hear the cry again. It's nearer now. I shall leave these notes in a sealed envelope and put it in a shoebox, in the hope that someone will give credence to these dark and terrible events, if indeed such nameless horrors can ever yield to mortal understanding. As for myself, I feel no longer any fear or even sorrow, only a desire that the end and the thing that I must do may come soon. And it will be soon, I know. Yes. For there is someone at the door.
Someone at the door. Huh. What do you make of it, Sam?
It's quite a yarn. But what of it?
That's what I thought. Now, listen, that's not quite all of it.
Huh?
Clip to it's a newspaper clipping. Listen. Hollywood, December the 26th. Police reported what was apparently a case of murder and suicide in Cypress Canyon sometime in the early hours of the morning. The victims were James A. Woods, a chemical engineer, and his wife, Ellen. Preliminary investigation indicates that Mrs. Woods was killed by the blast of a shotgun in the hands of her husband, who then turned the weapon upon himself. That she fought desperately for her life, however, was evidenced by the disorder of the room and the severe lacerations inflicted upon her husband about the neck and arms. This is the second tragedy to be reported in Cypress Canyon within 24 hours, the other being the unexplained death of Frank Polanski, a milkman.
Well, no such murders or whatever they were ever occurred, if that's what's worrying. The clipping, well, you have those things printed up, you know.
No, it's not that, Sam. That story was found in an unfinished house in Cypress Canyon. No number, no nothing, just a framework.
Uh-huh.
Now that house is finished. When I drove by it today, but that's what stopped me, Sam, because it all fits. Now that it's finished, it is the house in the story, the same construction, the same vines and creepers on the lawn, even the same number.
So what? A guy who knows roughly that this house is going to be like writes a yarn and loses it or something.
Did he know the place was going to be listed for rental today, the Saturday before Christmas?
Oh, Jerry. Coincidence. Two bits you find the guy next door is a ghost story writer or something, and he's been wondering for a year what happened to that thing he wrote.
Okay, coincidence. Well, I'm sorry I bothered you.
Don't be silly. I liked it. It's a good yarn. That the for rent sign you were talking about?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to put it up outside now.
Uh-huh. Well, so long, Jerry, and Merry Christmas again.
Well, thanks, Sam. I guess I was kind of silly, all right, huh?
Listen, when a guy named, whatever it is, Woods, with a wife named Ellen comes in to rent that place from you, then you can start worrying.
Yeah. Well, so long, Sam.
So long, Jerry.
Come in.
Oh, we're sorry to bother you, but we just happened to see that for rent sign outside.
Well, yeah, I hung it out just this minute.
Is the house available?
Oh, sure it is.
Let me introduce myself. My name is James A. Woods, and this is my wife, Ellen.
How do? Wow. Looks like it's fixing to... Right?
Yes, it does, doesn't it?
Suspense. Presented by Roma Wines, R-O-M-A, Roma Wines, selected for your pleasure from the world's greatest reserves of fine wine. Suspense. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe.